this video, I'm going to show you how to solve 4 SAT math problems using Desmos Graphing Calculator. You will see variations of these types of problems on every single digital SAT. However, it's important to keep in mind this is not an exhaustive list, but solving these types of problems will help you increase the speed with which you get through the questions and decrease the number of mistakes you make. So if you're curious what problems you need to be solving using the graphing calculator, instead of spending minutes writing out the problems and solving by hand, stay tuned. So this is the first problem that I'm going to go through, talking about how you should use Desmos Graphing Calculator on the SAT math. So oftentimes if a problem is asking you about finding a minimum or a maximum, it's much easier to just go ahead and plug it into Desmos. It's much faster. You may know how to solve it by hand, but again, the SAT is timed, so it'll save you time by just plugging it in. This problem says the given equation relates the variables x and y. For what value of x does the value of y reach its minimum? So let's just go ahead and plug this into Desmos. Squared 14x plus 2. Let's zoom out here. It's the minimum. 7, negative 27. So that x value is 7, and the y value is negative 27. So we conclude that since the solution for the equation is 7, negative 27, the x value is 7. 7 is going to be our answer. So with many problems that are asking you to solve and decide if there's no solution, a single solution, infinite solutions on the SAT math problems, you solve these using Desmos as a check. You solve the problem first by hand, and then you check your work with Desmos because it's very easy to accidentally make a mistake. So this particular problem deals with linear equations. However, sometimes problems will deal with quadratic equations as well. So let's go ahead and set up the system. We have 4x minus 9y equals 9y plus 5, and hy equals 2 plus 4x. And we're trying to figure out what value of h has no solution. So let's go ahead and simplify the problem. 4x equals 18y plus 5. Let's get everything on the same side. So 4x equals hy minus 2. Okay, and so we know in problems that there's no solution, you're always going to have the slope be parallel to each other. And so in order to find the slope, you need to set y by itself. Let's do that for the first problem. So you have 18y equals 4x minus 5. Sorry, I know I'm getting a little cramped here. Equals 4 divided by 18 is going to be our slope. And so if we look at this other equation, in order to find the point where the slope is the same as equation A, we call this equation A and this equation B, then we'll see that h must be 18. If you do the math, just as I did for equation A, you'll see that's the case. So it appears D is the answer, but we can go ahead and check our work on Desmos Graphing Calculator. Okay, so let's go and plug this in here. Sine y plus 5, hy, which we substitute 18 in for h, equals 2 plus 4x. And as you can see here, they have no solutions because they're completely parallel to each other. So 18 is our answer. Now, a lot of SAT math problems talking about solutions, infinite solutions, no solutions, etc., involve quadratics, which are a little bit harder than the linear example I just gave you. One helpful tidbit when you're solving for quadratics, and you use the quadratic formula, is to realize that the only truly important piece in the whole equation is the b squared minus 4ac. Because if you're trying to solve for an equation with no solutions, and the only way for there to be no solutions is if b squared minus 4ac is negative. There's no way to solve for a quadratic which has a negative inside part. It must be positive. If you're solving for a problem with only one solution, the inside of that quadratic must be equal to 0, because then the whole right side of the negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, the whole right side of that equation must be equal to 0. So negative b plus or minus 0 is obviously just going to be negative b. That's how you get one solution. So that just gives you a little helpful tidbit for when you're looking to solve these types of problems using parabolas and using Desmos Calculator. It gives you a shortcut instead of having to go through the long, laborious process of solving with the rest of the quadratic formula. It's basically the same thing as knowing the importance of the slope when using linear equations for this problem. However, you'd use Desmos the same way whether you're using quadratics or linear equations. Sometimes it's nice to be able to use Desmos Graphing Calculator to be able to solve for a solution into equations. This could be if you have two linear lines or a quadratic and a linear line. However, there could also be other types of equations that you're using to solve for. And even if you can solve for all these things by hand, it's typically just going to be a little bit faster to do it through Desmos, especially if you can type faster than you can write everything out by hand. So let's go ahead and do that with this problem now. X squared y plus 10 equals 10. X plus 16 minus y. So zooming out, we can find that the solution is negative 4 and negative 16. So that would be our solution. Going back to this original problem, we can see that since the solution was negative 4 and negative 16, the value of x is going to be negative 4, which means the answer is going to be B. The final problem type that I'll consistently use Desmos Graphing Calculator on is inequalities. So let's go ahead and read this word problem. A small business owner budgets $2,200 to purchase candles. The owner must purchase a minimum of 200 candles to maintain the discount pricing. The owner pays $4.90 per candle to purchase small candles and $11.60 to purchase large candles. What is the maximum amount or maximum number of large candles the owner can purchase to stay within the budget and maintain the discount pricing? So that means, well, let's go ahead and set this problem up. You have setting the problem up. You've got, as far as money goes, 4.9. X, we'll say X is small, and we'll say Y is large, plus 0.6. Y is going to be less than or equal to 2,200 because you can't have anything greater than the 2,200, otherwise you'll go out of budget. And X plus Y must be equal to or greater than 200 because he needs at least 200 candles. So you can go ahead and plug that problem into Desmos to figure out the maximum amount of large candles is. So we want to know what Y is the maximum. Okay, so let's plug in 4.9x plus 11.6. Y is going to be less than or equal to 2,200, and x plus y is going to be greater than or equal to 200. So let's zoom out. It says right here, in order to stay in budget, the maximum amount, you can see where they overlap. This is the area that would all work. they overlap, the maximum number of y you could have is 182. So 182 is going to be your answer. Hope you found that video helpful, and I hope that it helps you be able to increase your speed and your time on SAT math and decrease those mistakes. Desmos Graphing Calculator is a key tool when you're looking to solve SAT math, and you cannot get through Module 2 without it. So make sure you use the tool that's available to you. If you found this video helpful, then please like and subscribe. This channel is going to be a part of my college application in the fall, and you can help me by engaging. Additionally, you can help me pay for college by subscribing and helping me monetize my channel. So again, please engage. If you have any questions or ideas for future videos, please put those below, whether they're about the SAT, college applications, or many other random thing you can think of. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I'll see you again soon.